Well, I think it's time we had another cooking video on this channel, and today we're making oil-free hummus. Now, just to be completely clear about the oil-free thing, I'm not adding any oil to this recipe, but there is naturally some oil from the sesame seed paste that's in it, from the tahini, that naturally has oil in, but we're not putting any additional oil into this recipe. Now, I first made this recipe by accident. I made some hummus years ago and accidentally left the oil out, and it was fine. I thought, well, let's do that in future because it's a little bit healthier. Now, it does result in a sort of a stiffer, a thicker recipe, and there's a couple of things you can do about that. If you're not bothered about oil, you can add a little olive oil, or if you just want to make it a little bit more dippable, because I tend to have my hummus just on things like baked potatoes and on toast, so I don't mind that it's a bit thicker. But if you want to make it a little bit thinner and you don't want to add any oil to it, then just leave in some of the chickpea water that's in the tin. They call it aquafaba, and by leaving in a little bit of that, you can have a softer recipe if that's what you want. And now let's get started. So I have got some chickpeas here. I've got 1 tin of chickpeas, and this is 400 grams, and that's drained weight 240 grams. So first thing I'm going to do is strain the liquid off. Now, of all the useless gadgets, supposedly useless, I've bought over the years, you would think that this would be one of them. It's a little strainer that fits over a can. I don't even remember where I got it, but you know what? I use it all the time. And I love these ring pulls as well, rather than the ones that make you get a can opener out, as the cheaper ones often do. So what you do is stick that over there, and I'm just going to try and do this on camera and probably get in a big old mess. So I haven't rinsed these, there's no need to rinse them, and we're just gonna chuck those in there. So they've still got a bit of moisture with them. Now we're going to add some other ingredients. The first thing we're going to add is some ground cumin. So for 1 tin of chickpeas, we're going to add half a teaspoon of ground cumin. And I usually make a batch of this. I make 2 or 3 times this, because can you freeze it? If you've watched enough of my videos, you know the answer is going to be yes, you absolutely can freeze hummus. Surprisingly, freezes perfectly. Now we're going to add the juice of 1 lemon. And please don't use bottled lemon juice. Do not make me have my rant about processed food. And also don't add any cat hairs. Look at this, just wash my hands. How is there a cat hair on my finger? If you own a cat, you already know the answer to that. So I'm going to juice this lemon. You see here a whole lemon available without the necessity for a bottle and a ton of preservatives. I'm going to dump all of the lemon juice into here when I'm done. So we add our lemon juice in, and the next thing I'm adding is some tahini paste. Here we have some tahini. Now, when you buy this stuff, there should be one ingredient, and that is sesame seeds, probably roasted. There is nothing else that should be in your tahini. Again, don't buy these things that are full of nasty preservatives. Now you'll notice it's separated, the oil is separated out. This is not the end of the world. This is a natural product. It doesn't have any emulsifiers in. So we're going to stir that oil in before we start. And then we're going to pour out 1/4 cup of tahini paste. And you see this is where the oil in the recipe comes from. Although I'm not adding any oil, there is naturally oil in the sesame seeds, but there's no added oil in this recipe. Now, I didn't mix it perfectly. It's still a little bit lumpy, but it's good enough that it's distributed with the oil, and I'm going to pop that in here now. So we're building up our ingredients nicely, and the last thing we need to add is garlic. So we're going to add some garlic now, and you want about 2 large cloves. So these are slightly smaller, so I'm just going to grab a few little pieces here at the end of this bulb of garlic. Now we're going to blend this with a blender, and you might think to yourself, well, there's no need to crush or chop the garlic because it's all going to hit the blender. I have to say, the ability of garlic to avoid blender blades is just quite shocking to me. And so you do want to chop this, because otherwise you'll be eating your hummus and you'll end up with, you know, 1/2 clove of garlic in your mouth, which you might not hate, but it's not my favorite thing, and it's better to get it distributed evenly anyway. So I'm going to peel these and I'm going to chop them. No, I do not own a garlic press or a garlic crusher. I used to have one. I was always breaking them. Honestly, I don't know my own strength. And I just found that they're not a thing that's really necessary, and aren't they a pain to clean? So I'm just going to chop mine by hand, not being too careful with it, but like I said, just making it small enough that it's not going to be able to avoid those blades. And I'm going to pop that in to the bowl. The last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of salt. I'm not going to put too much in. I'm trying to watch my blood pressure, and did you know it's actually better to add salt to your food on top rather than in the cooking process, because scientists have proved that you actually taste it more when it's on the top of your food. So that's a little healthy tip for you. I'm now going to take this to the kitchen and blend it. And so I've got a stick blender. If you don't own a stick blender, what are you doing with your life? They are so fantastic. You can shove them in soup. They're so easy to clean, so much better than a standard blender, and it will make your cooking so much quicker and easier and open up all sorts of recipes that you just thought were too much trouble. And when you're blending this, what you want to do is sort of lift and press downwards. And I've also got a spatula, and I'll turn it over now and again until I get everything nicely blended. And how much you want to blend it is a matter of personal taste. Then I'm going to put some in a little dish in the fridge to have with my salad later. I'm also going to put some into some small containers and put in the freezer. You can make a nice big batch of this, keep lots of little boxes of it in the freezer, and how convenient is that? So do remember, this recipe is just a jumping off point. So you could add tomato paste or sun-dried tomatoes. You could add some chili flakes. You can even change up the recipe by swapping out the lemon for some lime and adding in some coriander. That's cilantro if you're in America. And you can get a completely different type of hummus. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Everything here is fully cat approved. And remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, and always be kind to the animals.